What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 158 of the Idiotic Sports Talk. I'm your host, Liam Gavin, coming to you live from my dining room table. I want to give you all the NFL Week 18 recap. This was the final week of the regular season. It's very, very sad. But on the bright side, we have playoffs right around the corner. So let's start with the Saturday game. There's two Saturday games. We'll look at the first one. Chiefs beat the Raiders 31-13. Pat Mahomes, 202 passing, a touchdown, no interceptions. Jerick McKinnon, the running back, had a receiving touchdown. And Jarrett Stidham of the Raiders threw for 219, a touchdown, one interception. He also had 50 rushing yards and a fumble. And Hunter Renfrow, 7 catches, 63 yards, and a touchdown. So the Chiefs end their season 14-3 on a 5-game winning streak and now clinched the number 1 seed in the AFC. The Chiefs sweep their divisional rival Raiders, and this is the second time in back-to-back years they go 6-0 versus their division. They just clearly run the AFC West. The Chiefs offense had 370 yards with no turnovers. They ran for 168 with 3 total rushing touchdowns, and the Chiefs defense had 6 sacks, an interception, and a fumble. As for the Raiders, they had a really bad game offensively, especially running the ball. Their quarterback was the leading rusher in that game. The Raiders finished 3rd in the AFC West after a horrible season. They benched Derek Carr. They lost multiple games where they had 2 or more touchdown leads. Late in the games, they would blow the games, and they had a lot of injuries, just head coaching problems, see if Josh McDaniels was the right fit, just all around a mess. They finished the season 6-11. The next game is the Jaguars beating the Titans 20-16. Trevor Lawrence, 212 passing, a touchdown, no interceptions, and a fumble. Christian Kirk, 6 catches, 99 yards, and a touchdown. As for Josh Dobbs of the Titans, 179 passing, a touchdown, interception, and a fumble. And Derrick Henry, 109 rushing. So the Jags finished this season 9-8 on a 5-game win streak as they clinch the AFC South and get a playoff spot. Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars offense was struggling. They only had 231 yards, and they only ran the ball for just 19 yards. They had a stupid trick play when they had momentum. They tried pitching it back, tried getting cute, and they fumbled. And then the Titans were able to recover, go down the field, and score. But the Jaguars bounced back from that. The Jaguars defense came up huge with 4 sacks, an interception, and a fumble recovery touchdown. And that was late in the game, which pretty much sealed the victory for them. And I got to give credit to the Jaguars head coach, Doug Peterson. After starting 3-7, he finished 9-8 with an AFC South title and a playoff spot. As for the Titans, they had an early 10-0 lead, but couldn't build off it. The Titans offense had 326 yards, with 147 of them coming on the ground. But 2 turnovers by Josh Dobbs led to 10 points by the Jaguars, and especially that fumble that was returned for a touchdown with just 2 minutes left. Absolutely brutal. The Titans started 7-3, finished 7-10 on a 7-game losing streak, and we're now 2nd in the AFC South. On to the Sunday game. Steelers beat the Browns 28-14. The rookie Kenny Pickett, 195 passing, a touchdown, no interceptions. Najee Harris, 84 rushing yards, a touchdown, and a fumble. And the rookie receiver George Pickens, 3 catches, 72 yards, and a touchdown. As for Deshaun Watson, 230 passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Nick Chubb, the running back, receiving touchdown, and tight end David Njoku also had a touchdown catch. So the Steelers end their season 9-8 on a 4-game winning streak, but are eliminated from the playoffs since the Dolphins won. And the head coach, Mike Tomlin, he never had a losing season within his 16 years as a head coach. The Steelers offense had 343 yards while running the ball very well again for 148 yards. The Steelers defense, 7 sacks, 2 interceptions. And the rookie quarterback, Kenny Pickett, he started really bad when he first got the start. He only had 4 total touchdowns with 9 total turnovers. But after his bye week, he showed a lot of improvements with just 6 total touchdowns and only 1 turnover. So Pickett, it's safe to say that he's going to be their future. He has a wide receiver who's also a rookie, George Pickens. They seemed very solid. They seem to be on the same connection and chemistry. Definitely going to be the future for that team. And as for the Browns, they had 364 yards of offense, but 2 interceptions by Watson really hurt their chance to win. The Browns offensive line was abused by the Steelers defensive line. The Browns defense got 1 sack, but could not force a turnover at all in this game. And the Browns had a weird season. The Watson suspension for 11 games while they paid him a lot of money, and just not knowing who their quarterback was going to be, not knowing when he was going to return. And when he did return, he didn't look that sharp. The Browns end their season 7-10 and 4th in the AFC North. Next, the Bengals beat the Ravens 27-16. Joe Burrow, 215 passing, a touchdown, no interceptions, and one fumble. Jamar Chase, 8 catches, 86 yards, and a touchdown. The rookie Anthony Brown, 286 passing, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a fumble. And the rookie tight end Isaiah Likely, 8 catches for 103. So the Bengals end their season 12-4 on an 8-game winning streak. They clinched the AFC North title and the 3rd seed in the playoffs. And, the offense was shaky at times with just 270 yards and only 55 rushing yards. But the Bengals defense stepped up, 4 sacks, 2 picks, and 2 forced fumbles. One was returned for a touchdown. And the Bengals started the season 0-2, but they finished strong, finishing 12-2 with a divisional win over their divisional rival. And speaking of their divisional rival, the Ravens, there was no Lamar Jackson for the 5th straight game, and they started the rookie quarterback Anthony Brown, who was pretty much just fed to the wolves and showed why he played like an undrafted rookie. He had 3 total turnovers, and Lamar is still proving why the Ravens has to pay him. And the Ravens finished 10-7, second in the AFC North and the 6th seed in the playoffs. Next we have the Vikings beating the Bears 29-13. Kirk Cousins had 225, a touchdown, and no interceptions. He was also pulled early from this game to rest. Alexander Mattison, 2 rushing touchdowns, and KJ Osborne, 5 catches for 117. Nate Peterman, 114 passing, a touchdown, no interceptions, and Tim Boyle, 33 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The tight end Cole Kmet, he had a touchdown catch. So the Vikings are able to finish 13-4 on the season. They sweep their divisional rival, and they get the 3rd seed in the NFC playoffs. Kirk Cousins only played a half of football, but he looked good out there, leading the offense on scoring drives without turning the ball over. And that's something you want to see from your quarterback before the playoffs start. The Vikings offense had 482 yards with 141 rushing yards. And the Vikings are an interesting team because 11 out of their 13 wins were all decided by 1 possession, and all 4 of their losses came by 2 or more possessions, most of them being blown out. So it's interesting to see them in the playoffs, see how they'll do. And as for the Bears, they didn't have Justin Fields at quarterback. Nathan Peterman looked all right, but Tim Boyle was awful. The Bears just had 265 yards of offense, and they were just really bad on offense in this game like they were all season. But the good news is that the Bears now have the number 1 pick in the 2023 NFL draft, and they have a lot of money to spend in free agency. So hopefully they build around Justin Fields. The Bears end their season 3-14 on a 10-game losing streak and are now 4th in the NFC North. The Bills beat the Patriots 35-23. Josh Allen, 254 passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Stephon Diggs, 7 catches for 104 and a touchdown. As for Mac Jones, 243 passing, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Devontae Parker, 6 catches for 79 yards and 2 scores. So the Bills end their season 13-3. They sweep their divisional rival, and they won their 7th straight game to lock up the 2 seed in the AFC. The Bills got their win for the safety Damar Hamlin, who suffered a very scary injury on Monday, and last Monday, that is, where he needed CPR on the field. It was just really brutal to watch, and he's doing a lot better now. So very good if you're, just a fan of football to hear about that, because if you saw that, it was just really scary to see. And on the opening kickoff, the Bills running back Nyheim Hines took it to the house for a touchdown. Absolutely amazing. They had all the energy there. The Bills offense had 344 yards, and the special teams had 2 kick return touchdowns by Hines to steal the show. And as for the Patriots, they had 350 yards of offense, but the 3 interceptions by Mac Jones was brutal, especially 2 picks that happened in the end zone. Patriots special teams coach needs to be fired for the 2 kick return touchdowns, and I believe that Mac Jones could be a good quarterback. It's just that he has Matt Patricia as offensive coordinator and Joe Judge as a quarterback coach, and I think that's holding him back. Patriots finish 8-9, 3rd in the AFC East, and are eliminated from the playoffs. Next game, Dolphins beat the Jets 11-6. The rookie Skylar Thompson, 152 passing, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Jeff Wilson, 72 rushing yards. Joe Flacco, 149, no touchdowns, no interceptions. And the rookie Garrett Wilson, 9 catches for 89 yards. So the Dolphins finish their season 9-8. They beat their divisional rival, which clinches the 7th seed in the AFC. With injuries to the quarterbacks, Tua Tagovailoa and Teddy Bridgewater, the third-string rookie Skylar Thompson came in, and he didn't really light it up, but he didn't turn the ball over, and he led the team downfield to get the game-winning field goal. And speaking of the Dolphins' offense, they had 314 yards with no turnovers, and they ran the ball efficiently for 162. And the Dolphins started 8-3, then went 8-8, but they got the win yesterday to make the playoffs. It's their first playoff berth since 2016. And the Jets' offense, they continue to struggle. They had 187 total yards of offense and no touchdowns, only 38 rushing yards. Mike White was hurt. Zach Wilson benched. Flacco got the start, and nothing really changed. The Jets desperately need a quarterback for their future. They have a lot of draft capital. They have a very solid defense and running back, so they really need to spend money on a quarterback free agency. The injuries to the rookies, Breece Hall, the running back, and the lineman, Elijah Vera Tucker, really impacted them. You saw when those two went out, season basically went downhill. The Zach Wilson drama didn't help that team at all. And the Jets finished 7-10. They were 7-4 at one point. They lost 6 straight and are 4th in the AFC East. The Falcons beat the Bucs 30-17. The rookie Desmond Ridder, 224 passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a fumble. Rookie running back Tyler Algier, 135 rushing, and the rookie receiver Drake London, 6 catches for 120. Tom Brady had 84 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions, but was pulled early for rest. So Blaine Gabbert came in, threw a touchdown pass, and then Chris Godwin had 6 catches, 55 yards, and a fumble. So the Falcons end their season. They beat their divisional rivals, and they're 7-10 now. And the rookie quarterback, Desmond Ridder, he played 4 games this season, but this was his best game yet. Ridder and the Falcons offense had 398 total yards, and the run game took off with 174 on the ground. And the rookie trio of Ridder, Algier, and Drake London, they played a fantastic game and are definitely the future of the Falcons. Meanwhile, Tom Brady played just basically a quarter and a half. He threw a touchdown pass with no turnovers, and he looked great. Blaine Gabbert came in, so did Kyle Trask after they benched Brady. Bucs offense struggled with 222 yards and only 86 rushing yards. The Bucs finished 8-9 on the season with an NFC South title and the 4th seed in the NFC playoffs. And even on a down year for Tom Brady, they still somehow managed to get into the playoffs, even with a bad offensive line, bad run game, etc. Next game, Panthers beat the Saints 10-7. Sam Darnold, 43 passing yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Chuba Hubbard, 69 rushing yards. As for Andy Dalton of the Saints, 171 passing, a touchdown, no interceptions. Alvin Kamara, 107 rushing. Chris Olave, the rookie, 5 catches, 60 yards, and a touchdown. He also had a fumble. So the Panthers finished 7-10 in the season. They sweep their divisional rival, finished 2nd in the NFC South. Darnold and the Panthers offense was horrible, especially Darnold. He had a very, very bad day passing. The offense had 214 yards total. However, their run game did its job with 171 yards. Panthers started 2-7, but once the head coach Matt Rule was fired, Steve Wilks became the interim head coach. They finished 5-3. They traded away Christian McCaffrey early in the season too. And if the Panthers are smart, they'll make Steve Wilks their new head coach. The locker room loves and respects him, and they'll take advantage of that opportunity. But as for the Saints, speaking of opportunities, they could have won this game. They had 314 yards on offense, 143 rushing yards, and they missed a field goal with a minute 30 left, which led to the Panthers hitting the game-winning field goal as time expired. And before the season started, the Saints looked legit on paper, but a lot of key injuries just slowly derailed that team. They finished 7-10 and 3rd in the NFC South. Niners beat the Cardinals 38-13. Rookie Brock Purdy, 178 passing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Elijah Mitchell, 2 rushing touchdowns. George Kittle, 2 touchdown catches, and running back Christian McCaffrey, a receiving touchdown. As for Cardinals QB David Blau, 180 passing, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a fumble. Trace McSorley, 29 passing yards, no touchdowns, and an interception. AJ Green, 3 catches for 91 yards and a touchdown. So the Niners sweep their divisional rival to go 13-4. They've now won 10 games straight, and they are now the 2nd seed in the NFC. The rookie quarterback, Brock Purdy, stays hot. He stays red hot with a 5-0 record. The Niners offense had 347 yards, and they ran the ball for 169. Niners defense had 2 sacks, a fumble, and 3 picks. The Niners lost their quarterbacks earlier in the season, Trey Lance and Jimmy G, due to injuries. So in comes Brock Purdy. They call him Mr. Irrelevant because he was the last pick in the draft. And he's played very, very well since he's gotten the start. The Niners made a trade for Christian McCaffrey, which also paid off. It helped improve their 3-4 record at the time. The Niners are definitely, in my opinion, the scariest team in the NFC. And I feel bad for whoever has to play them. As for the Cardinals, they struggled on offense, 271 yards, and they had 4 total turnovers. The Kyler Murray injury, the Kyler Murray contract problems, the head coaching drama, everything came crashing down on the Cardinals this year. They actually fired their head coach, Cliff Kingsbury, and J.J. Watt. He's a Cardinal, was a former Texan. He's a defensive end. He announced his retirement. What a great season, or great career by J.J. Watt. Easily a Hall of Famer, and congrats to him. Just an absolute defensive force, one of the best this generation's ever seen. And as for the Cardinals, they finished 4-13 on a 7-game losing streak and are 4th in the NFC West. Next, Texans versus Colts. Texans win 32-31. Davis Mills, 298 passing, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Brandon Cooks, 5 catches for 106 and a score. Jordan Akins, the tight end, 4 catches, 70 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Sam Ehlinger of the Colts, 204 passing, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Zach Moss, 114 rushing yards and a touchdown. And Michael Pittman Jr., a touchdown catch. The Texans end their season beating their divisional rival. They now have 3 wins, 13 losses, and a tie. On the season, they finished 4th in the AFC South. And despite both teams being really bad, this game was entertaining. The Texans were in control 17-7 at one point after Sam Ehlinger threw a pick 6. Texans were up 24-14 late in the third quarter when Davis Mills threw a pick 6. And then the final play of the third quarter, Davis Mills throws another pick. The Colts capitalize. They get a touchdown, and they take a 28-24 lead. Then with 3 minutes left, the Colts make a field goal to go up 31-24. And with a minute 30 left in the fourth quarter, Davis Mills converts a 4th and 12, then converts a 4th and 20 to make it 31-30. Texans go for 2 and get the win. And the Texans offense had 370 total yards, but failed to run the ball with just 59 rushing yards. Texans defense showed up with 2 sacks, a fumble, and 2 picks. One was a pick 6. And the Texans, if they lost, they would have had the number 1 draft pick in the 2023 draft. But now they have the number 2 pick, and I think it's still not bad. They need a quarterback. Well, it seems like the Bears don't. And after the game, the Texans fire head coach Lovie Smith. And I think they fired him because he went for 2 and got it, and they really wanted that number 1 pick. But who really knows? As for the Colts, they could have won this game. They had 405 yards on offense, ran for 198 yards. The Colts defense had a sack, forced fumble, 2 picks. One was a pick 6. They couldn't stop the Texans offense, especially on the 2 fourth down plays, the one that led to a touchdown and the 2-point conversion on the final drive of the game. And the Colts had their issues. They benched Matt Ryan. They fired their head coach, Frank Reich. They hired Jeff Saturday as the head coach. And because of that, the Colts end their season on a 7-game losing streak to go 3rd in the AFC South with a 4-win, 12-loss, and 1-tie record. Next, the Commanders beat my Cowboys 26-6. Sam Howell, the rookie, got his first start. 169 passing, a touchdown, interception, and a rushing touchdown. Terry McLaurin, 3 catches, 74 yards, and a touchdown. As for Dak Prescott, 128, a touchdown, and interception. And CeeDee Lamb, 5 catches, 52 yards, and a touchdown. So the Commanders finished the season 8 wins, 8 losses, and a tie on the season. They beat their divisional rival. They finished 4th in the NFC East. And the rookie Sam Howell got his first start. He actually threw his first touchdown pass His first pass was a touchdown. The Commanders had 320 yards of offense. They ran the ball for 181. The Commanders' defense had a sack, a pick six, a 4th-and-1 stop, and just shut down the Cowboys' offense. The Cowboys were very mediocre this game, especially on offense, with just 185 yards. Failed to run the ball with just 64 yards. And the Cowboys' offense also went 3-and-out. They 10 times, just absolutely disgusting. Dak had a horrible game. Completed 14 of 37 passes with a pick six. The special teams was a joke. The punter fumbled a bobbled snap, and then the returner, Kavontae Turpin, fumbled a fair catch. And the two special team miscues, the pick six, it just shook up the Cowboys early. They never recovered. And as a Cowboys fan, this is not what I wanted to see a week before the playoffs, or else it would be one and done again. They need to clean it up. Cowboys finished 12-5, second in the NFC East, fifth in the NFC playoff picture. Seahawks beat the Rams in overtime, 19-16. Geno Smith, 213 passing, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The rookie Kenny Walker, 114 rushing, and Tyler Lockett had a touchdown catch. As for Baker Mayfield of the Rams, 147 passing, no touchdowns, 1 interception, and Cam Akers, 104 rushing yards. So the Seahawks finished 9-8. They get the 7th seed in the playoffs, and they sweep their divisional rival to get second place in the NFC West. The Seahawks had 410 yards of offense with 197 of them on the ground. Seahawks defense had 5 sacks and 1 interception in overtime. The kicker, Jason Myers, missed the game-winning field goal in regulation but redeemed himself in overtime for the win. And Pete Carroll, honestly, is my opinion, coach of the year. He took a Seahawks team to the playoffs when no one expected them to win more than 5 games. I was one of those people who thought they were going to be trashed, but credit to Pete Carroll. He shut us all up. As for the Rams, they struggle on offense yet again. They just did not look good. Baker Mayfield did not look good passing. They did run the ball very well, but it's just very sad to see. It's kind of sad, right? Or funny, however you look at it. But they were Super Bowl champs a year ago, and now they finished 5-12, third in the NFC West. And a lot of speculations were Sean McVay saying he might leave the team, but we'll see. Next, the Eagles beat the Giants 22-16. Jalen Hurts, 229 passing, no touchdowns and interception. Boston Scott, a rushing touchdown. Davis Webb of the Giants, 168 passing, a touchdown, no interceptions, and a rushing touchdown. Kenny Golladay had a touchdown catch. And the Eagles, they finish as the 1 seed in the NFC. They win an NFC East title, and they're 14-3 as they sweep their divisional rival. Hurts played his first game in a few weeks, and he still didn't look that great. He looked a little rusty. The Eagles' offense had 364 yards, and the Giants had absolutely no starters playing. They had a lot of 3rd and 4th stringer guys. They had their main guys resting for the playoffs. But even with all those guys out, they still put up a fight and almost came back from a 19-0 deficit. The Giants finished 9 wins, 7 losses, and a tie. 3rd in the NFC East, 6th in the NFC playoffs. Broncos beat the Chargers 31-28. Russell Wilson, 283 passing, 3 touchdowns and interception. Latavius Murray, 103 rushing and a touchdown. Jerry Jeudy, 5 catches for 154. Justin Herbert, 273 passing, 2 touchdowns, no interception. He was sat for rest. Chase Daniel came in, threw a touchdown pass, and then Keenan Allen, 8 catches for 102 and 2 scores. So the Broncos end their disappointing season by beating their divisional rival to go 5-12, 4th in the AFC West. But on the bright side, Russell Wilson had a really good game. The offense had a really good game in general of 488 yards. They got the run game going with 205 yards, and the Denver defense had 2 fumbles, which contributed to their win. The Broncos had a very disappointing Russell Wilson was traded from the Seahawks. The Broncos gave up a lot to the Seahawks in draft capital. They paid a lot of money too for Russell Wilson, and it just didn't pan out this season. I think the head coach, Nathaniel Hackett, was a bad move. Clearly something didn't work there, but there's always next year. And as for the Chargers, they had 357 yards of offense, but only ran for 59 total yards. Justin Herbert had some nice touchdown drives, which you like to see before the playoffs. The Chargers finished 10-7, second in the AFC West, and 5th seed in the AFC. Final game, Lions beat the Packers 20-16. Jared Goff, 224 passing, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Jamal Williams, 2 rushing touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers, 205 passing, a touchdown and interception. And the rookie receiver, Christian Watson, 5 catches for 104. So the Lions end the season 9-8 as they sweep their divisional rival to get second place in the NFC North. But it's unfortunately they missed the playoffs because the Seahawks won. The Lions had 329 yards of offense with no turnovers. They also had 2 sacks on defense, a forced fumble, and a clutch interception. And huge props to the Lions. They knew they were eliminated from the playoffs before the game started, but they didn't fold. They didn't, curl up in a ball and cry. They're like, we're not doing that. We're going to beat the Packers because the Packers are their rival. Packers had a chance to make the playoffs if they beat the Lions, and they weren't allowing that to happen. And credit to the head coach, Dan Campbell. He changed the culture of the Lions. Everyone in that locker room respects him. They started 1-6. They finished 9-8. And they're going to be a good team for the upcoming future. A lot of young guys, a lot of people that are getting down behind Coach Dan Campbell. And speaking of one of those guys, it's the running back Jamal Williams. He passed Barry Sanders for the most rushing touchdowns in a single season by a Lions player. And he also had a great post-game speech. He honored his grandpa who passed away recently. And then he said something along the lines of, we're the Detroit Lions. Don't disrespect us. Because a lot of people, me included, picked the Packers to win this game. They were at home, and Jamal Williams pretty much told me and all those other people who picked the Packers to shut up and respect us because we're the Detroit Lions. And I love that energy from a guy like him. And as for the Packers, their 4-game win streak comes to an abrupt end. They're eliminated from the playoffs with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game. Rodgers threw a pick, and that just sealed their fate right there. And this was a rough season for the Packers. Aaron Rodgers had a down year. There were just no chemistry with the wide receivers. Aaron Rodgers wasn't really trying to work with those guys in the offseason, and it just was a complete nightmare for them. And I wonder if Aaron Rodgers is retiring because after the game, the rookie receiver of the Lions, Jameson Williams, asked for a jersey swap with Rodgers, but Rodgers said, I can't do this because I think I'm going to hang this one up. So we'll see what happens with him. Even if he hangs it up, as much as I can't stand the guy because he always beats my team, I got to give him credit because he was definitely one hell of a player, one hell of a quarterback. But we'll see what happens with him. The Packers end their season 8-9, third in the NFC North. So that was a lot. I don't even know if you guys are going to make it through this video, but thank you all for watching. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Instagram, and to take care and have a good night.